everyone, it's Miss Michelle from Campfire Riverbend. I'm missing all my after school kids and I decided to do some baking that I sometimes do for our after school program at Good Shepherd. So today we're going to be making some cinnamon apple muffins, and this is actually a new recipe we're trying because I'm using what I have in the house. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start out by chopping up some apples. So the way that I do it, I wash them off first, and then I'm going to peel them, and then slice them, and then cut them into itty bitty chunks. So I'm going to turn the video off while I do that, and I will be back with some nice chopped up little apple pieces. Alright everyone, I'm back. I got my apples all cut up here. It's 2 cups of them. I had pretty small apples, so it took about 3 apples. It was a little less than 3 apples, but that's how many we have there, and then I have everything else set out for me. So I have to admit I am not the most comfortable in the kitchen, but this is something that I've kind of found that I enjoy doing by actually making it for a program. So I always make sure that when I'm going through, I make sure to read my directions really carefully and kind of read ahead. So I got all of my supplies out, ready to go, and it says instructions. Step number 1 is we're going to preheat our oven to 375. I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, and this is my new oven. I had a very old avocado green oven, probably from the 70s, and it finally went kaput on me, so it's like not many times that this oven has been used. It's very exciting. All right, so we have it preheating to 375, and then we're going to spray the muffin tin with baker's spray. So I have my muffin tin here and my spray. I'm just going to take it over here and spray it. And I'll put that away because I know I don't need it anymore. Alrighty. So next is to sift together 2 cups of flour, the baking powder, salt, and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. All right, so I have a sifter here. This was my grandma's when it's something that I inherited from her and remember baking with her. So gotta love keeping those good memories alive, and I'm sure some of you are making some really good memories with your family, your grandparents, and the people that you really love in your life. All right, so 2 cups of flour. Like I said, this is just what I have here, just some regular flour. Usually when I'm making this for after school program, I use like the unbleached flour, but this is just what I have in my cupboard, regular old-fashioned flour. So I'm actually going to need a little bit of flour and a little later for our crumble top. So our flour, and then we need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. So here's our baking powder. 1.5. Okay. And then we need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Cinnamon's one of my favorite things. I often put it in like smoothies. I often add a little extra. I won't this time. Alright, so brand new cinnamon because I actually ran out. This was one of the things that I got stocked up on when I heard that we might be staying in. And by stocked up, I mean I purchased 2. Alright, so we have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. 1 and 2. Okay. Alright, so we have all of those things together and we're going to sift them, which is just this little device. It's Got a lot of memories and a lot of use over the years. It's one of those things that when I found it in my dad's cupboard, I was like, "Are you ever gonna bake, Dad?" He's like, "No, please take that." I love how light and fluffy it makes it. And it's easy as that. All right, I'm gonna put my sifter away. Well, over here for now. All right, so we did that, and we're going to set it aside. Next up, we are going to cream together the butter and sugar until lightened in color. So it's about 3 minutes. I'm lucky enough to have a KitchenAid mixer that I'll be using for that. So here's our half a cup of butter at room temperature. And then we need the sugar. We need 1 cup of sugar. Sugar there. Lock it in. And that. All right. Well, that's creaming. I'm going to pause, and I will be back. A couple things. Number one, I was looking over my list again because, like I said, I'm not the most competent in the kitchen, and I realized I did not put salt into our flour mixture. So what I did there is I added the half a teaspoon of salt in there, and I used a fork to just kind of stir it around, and that actually helped stir around the cinnamon as well, because the cinnamon was pretty concentrated, and it looks a lot more evenly distributed now. All right, so we got our sugar and butter mixture, and the next thing that we're going to do is add an egg one at a time, taking care to fully incorporate before adding the other. So I cracked both of them in here. They're farm fresh eggs from one of the local farmers near us. So I added one in. Mix that in well. Looking pretty good. Might stop it and just scrape the sides just to make sure. The beater on here does a really good job at that, but I can just see a couple of spots that aren't getting as much egg as everything else is. Actually, do that now. Ooh, including the stuff on the beater. I really need some. A little more mixing time. Oh yeah. So I needed that. Beautiful. We'll add in our other egg. Get all that sugar and butter off of our attachment here. All right. And mix that in. Okay, so we have that ready to go. And then, once this egg is nice and mixed in, we're going to add our vanilla. And that is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And this is vanilla that my mom got on a cruise. So, vanilla from the Caribbean. Hopefully. So here's our vanilla. 2 teaspoons. That looks very well mixed. And 1 teaspoon. 2 teaspoons. smells really good. All right. Put that in. Okay. So next up, we are going to add our flour mixture, alternating with milk. So we use a total of a 1/2 cup milk, and we stir until just combined. All right. So folding that in. This looks good. Looks good. It smells good too. Can't waste any. It's too good to waste. Okay. So we've got now pour our 1/2 cup of milk to have that ready. Put our lid back on. We don't want to spill anything. Rather, I try really hard not to spill anything. All right. Okay, so gently folding in, alternating with milk. Stir until just combined, and then after that, then we will fold in the diced apples and get ready to fill our muffin pans. All right, there we go. The nice part about this is always something you can get better at. You don't have to be perfect at it. It's fairly forgiving. This is weird because usually when I'm baking, I'm like doubling, sometimes even tripling the recipe to make sure that we have enough for everybody at program. It's very strange to see what one batch looks like. Seems like such a small amount so far. Okay, so alternate with our milk. Put milk in. I'm using 2%. That's what they had at the store. I kind of alternate between skim milk 1% and 2%. But I'm sure you can make this with any sort of alternative milk as well. Almond milk, soy milk. All right, add some more here. So I'm doing this about in thirds. Smelling good. And the apples aren't even in there yet. A little more milk. All right, and we'll put the last of this in here. That's it. especially with this one, since it said until just mixed. I'm going to make sure to make sure that not all of the flour, like the white part, is gone before I add the milk, because I need to add that in. So do that a little earlier than I have with the first 2 rounds. Try to get all of that flour from the side. It's kind of stuck to the side of the bowl here. Alright. It's looking good. And then we are folding our apples in as well. So here are the 2 cups of diced apples. Get all of them out. I worked hard to cut those apples. This is looking awesome. All right. Here we go. Here's our kind of end product there. All right, here we go with putting our mixture into our muffin tin. So I really like using, this is a cookie scoop. That way I just know that each one has the same amount in it. That way they cook evenly. I know I used to do this. My mom and I, when we would bake together, we would use like a 1/4 cup sometimes until we got cookie scoops. Pretty fancy when that happened. I just dropped a little on the floor. It's part of cleanup duty. Cleanup duty is important. So while these are baking, we will get our crumble top ready, and then I'll clean up. A few of the same ingredients are used for the crumble top. Alright, so spread these around a little bit. Go ahead and say, one more. There we go. They're all looking a little sparse, so I'm going to do another like 1/2 scoop for each one. And then we'll see what happens from there. Alright, so I'm making the top crumble, and this isn't something that I would usually do because it doesn't add a lot of sugar for our after-school program, but